Good morning. It is 11:30 Eastern Time, and that means it is time for First Chapter Fun. If this is the first time you're joining, this is the place until the beginning of May. Beginning of May, I am reading the first chapter of a different book, not mine, but of different books, every day at 11:30 on my Instagram Live down here and on Facebook Live up here. We already have people joining. We have Dale on Facebook. Good morning, Dale. We have Hank, Philip E. Ryan. Hi, Hank. We have Amanda. We have Danielle. I read from Danielle's book. Not yesterday. I can't remember. A couple of days ago. We have Amanda. We have Glenn. This is lovely. We have lots and lots of people joining. This is wonderful. Thank you. So I always say this at the beginning of the broadcast now, because sometimes Facebook, because this is live, Facebook and occasionally Instagram play tricks on me and drop the connection. So if I suddenly freeze and disappear, it's not you, it's me. And what I will do is continue recording on the platform that didn't boot me out and then go back to the one that cut me off and start the recording again. So, you know, if you're watching on Facebook and the connection drops, I don't know, go make yourself a cup of tea or something and come back. Please don't leave me all alone. Anyway, it's lovely to see you all. How's everybody doing? It's a glorious sunny day here in Oakville today. It's a bit on the chilly side. It's not spring weather. Well, the sun is very spring-like, but the temperature-wise, it's not great. It's hovering around freezing, I think, this morning. But anyway, maybe I'll get outside a little bit, or at least be in the garden. Wouldn't that be nice? So we've made it through another week of weird life, which has almost become normal now, but we did it. And I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone's keeping safe and able to get through these rather trying times. But for the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, let me entertain you and take your mind off all this COVID stuff and just read to you. So, you know, sit back, relax and have a listen to this book that I'm reading for you today. This is Derailed by Mary Keliikoa. Isn't that a pretty cover? You can tell it's a thriller. You can tell from the cover. And this is her debut, actually. And Mary should be joining us either on Facebook or on Instagram. But either way, I always save these recordings. So it'll go on Instagram, it'll go to my story, but I will then also post it in my feed. And on Facebook, I will save it as well. So please leave a question for Mary, whatever you'd like to know once I've read you the book. Or, you know, where does she find inspiration from, or how did she start writing? This is her debut. How many manuscripts does she have in a drawer somewhere that nothing have happened with? Or is this the first book she's written and has got published? All those kinds of questions are always fun for authors to answer. So let me tell you a little bit about Mary and show you that cover again. Here we go. And I know it's back to front on Instagram, but not on Facebook, because you can change it on Facebook, but not on Instagram. Sort it out, Instagram. There we go, Derailed by Mary Keliikoa. And I will now tell you about Mary. So, I have a comment, it's supposed to be spring, not hot summer. Yeah, is it hot with you guys? Because it's certainly not here. Send some of the heat our way, I'd be most grateful. All right, so let me read you Mary's bio. So Mary Keliikoa writes mystery and suspense stories, and in particular about the adventures of her tenacious PI, Kelly Pruett, who has inherited her father's agency. For years, Mary worked as a legal secretary, giving her a front row seat on the legal maneuverings that took place every day. She loved the unfolding of a case, from the first documents being run to the courthouse to preparing for trial. That love is one of many reasons why she gravitated to writing mystery and suspense. And Derailed is her debut, and it publishes on May the 12th. And you can find out more about Mary at Mary Keliikoa, that's KELIIKOA.com. It'll be on the posts anyway. I'll make sure you have all of the details. So this is the cover. Good morning, Nancy. She's joined us as well, or on Facebook. Here we are. Oh, and Hank has popped up on Facebook as well. How fun. All right, there we go. So that is the book, and I will now read you the blurb or the back cover copy, and chapter 1. So this is Derailed. A dying wish, a secret world. Can this grieving investigator stay on the right track? PI Kelly Pruett is determined to make it on her own, and juggling clients at her late father's detective agency, a controlling ex, and caring for a deaf daughter was never going to be easy. She takes it as a good sign when a letter left by her dad ties into an unsolved case of a young woman struck by a train. Hunting down the one person who can prove the mysterious death was not just a drunken accident, Kelly discovers this witness is in no condition to talk. And the closer she gets to the truth, the longer her list of sleazy suspects with murderous motives grows. Each clue exposes another layer of the victim's steamy double life. Can Kelly pinpoint the murderer? Or is she on the fast track to disaster? If you like intricate family dynamics, secrets including plot twists and turns, then this story is for you. Derailed is the first book in the Kelly Pruett mystery series. I keep having to take my glasses off because otherwise I can't see you. All of your comments are just fuzzy. So that was the back cover copy, or the blurb if you like, of Derailed by Keliikoa. And I will now read you chapter 1. So this is Derailed by Keliikoa, chapter 1. Portland, Oregon has as many parts as the human anatomy. Like the body, some are more attractive than others. My father's PI business that I'd inherited was in what many considered the armpit, the northeast, where pickpockets and drug dealers dotted the narrow streets and spray paint tags of bubble-lettered gang signatures striped the concrete. In other words, home. I'm Kelly Pruett, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. I just finished invoicing a client for a skip trace and flicked off the light in the front office my dad and I used to share, when a series of taps came from the locked front door. It was 3 o'clock on a gloomy Friday afternoon. A panhandler looking for a handout or a bathroom was my best guess. Sitting at the desk, I couldn't tell. Floyd, my basset hound and the only real man in my life, lifted his droopy eyes to meet mine before flopping his head back down on his bed. No help there. Another rap, louder this time. Someone wanted my attention. I retrieved the canister of pepper spray from my purse and opened the door to a woman, her umbrella sheltering her from the late October drizzle. Her angle made it hard to see her face, only the soft curls in her hair and the briefcase hanging from her hand. I slipped the pepper spray into the pocket of my Nike warm-up jacket. "Is Roger Pruett in?" she asked, water droplets splatting the ground. She hadn't heard the news, and I hadn't brought myself to update R&K Investigations website. I swallowed the lump before it could form and clutched my throat. "No, sorry," I said. "My dad died earlier this year. I'm his daughter, Kelly." "I'm so sorry." She peered from under the umbrella, her expression pinched. She searched my face for a different answer. "I'd give anything to have one." "What do you need?" "To hire a PI to investigate my daughter's death. Can you help me?" Her voice cracked. My stomach fluttered. Process serving, court document searches and the occasional tedious stakeout had made up the bulk of my 1,500 hours of PI experience requirement. Not that I wasn't capable of more. Dad had enjoyed handling cases himself with a plan to train me later. In the years since his death, no one had come knocking, and going through the motions of what I knew how to do well had been hard enough. Now this lady was here for my father's help. I couldn't turn her away. I raked my fingers through the top of my shoulder-length hair and opened the door. "Come in." "Bless you." She slid her umbrella closed and brushed past me. After securing the lock, I led her through the small reception area and into my office. A bathroom and another office that substituted for a storage closet were down the long hallway, heading to the rear exit. Floyd decided to take an interest and lumbered over. With his butt in the air, he stretched at her feet before nearly snuffling my soon-to-be client's shoe up his nose. She nodded at him before vicious Floyd found his way back to his corner, tail swaying behind him. Guess he approved. The woman looked in her mid-60s. She had coiffed hair the colour of burnt almonds, high cheekbones and a prominent nose. She reminded me of my middle school librarian who could get you to shut up with one glance. "Would you like a coffee, Miss—" "No, thank you, it's Hanson." She settled in the red vinyl chair across from my dad's beaten and scarred desk. "Georgette Hanson." My skin tingled when she said her name. "My condolences on your father," she said. "Thank you." Her words were simple and expected, but her eyes held pain. Having lost her daughter, she could clearly relate. "How did it happen?" she asked. I swallowed again. With as many people as I'd had to tell, it should be getting easier. It wasn't. "Stroke. Were you a former client of my father's?" She waved her hand. "Something like that." She lifted the briefcase to her lap and popped the latch. Her eyes softened. "He was a fine man. You look just like him." My confident, broad-shouldered Welshman father had been quite fit and handsome in his youth. Most of my adult life he'd carried an extra 50 pounds, but that never undermined his strong chin, wise blue eyes and thick chestnut hair. I'd been blessed with my dad's eyes and hair and had my mum's round chin, but since I'd ballooned a couple of sizes while pregnant with Mitts, I knew which version she thought I resembled. "What were you hoping he could do for you with regards to your daughter?" "Find out why she's dead." Georgette shoved a paper dated a few weeks ago onto the desk and snapped the case lid closed. A picture of a young woman with a warm smile, a button nose and long wavy brunette hair sat below the fold on the front page under the headline, "Woman struck by Max train dies." I winced at the thought of a violent end. "I'm sorry. Such a pretty girl." "She was perfect." Georgette pulled off her gloves, her eyes brimming. "The train destroyed that. Do you know what a train does to a £100 woman?" Her voice trembled. To avoid I knew I was going to stumble on that one. To avoid envisioning the impact, I replaced it with the smiling face of Mitts, my 8-year-old daughter, which made it worse. If anything ever happened to her, how Georgette wasn't a puddle on the Formica eluded me. I took a minute to read the story. According to the article, Brooke Hanson fell from the sidewalk into the path of an oncoming Max train downtown at 9th and Morrison Street. The police reported alcohol was a contributing factor. They detained the sole witness who found her, J. Nightingale. Why? I set the paper down. Georgette brushed her hair away from her forehead, flashing nails chewed to the quick. "At first, the police thought he had something to do with her fall. He told them he'd seen my Brooke stumble down the sidewalk and teeter on the edge of the curb. Supposedly, he called out the train was coming and she didn't hear him. He made no effort to get her away from those tracks. When the autopsy showed she'd been drinking, they wrote her death off as an accident, released Mr. Nightingale and closed the case." Their decision couldn't have been that cut and dry. How much had she been drinking? "You sound like the police." Georgette lifted her chin and met my gaze. There are many stages to grief, one of them anger, another denial. Georgette straddled both, something I knew plenty about. "Not sure, exactly. You will have to check the report." I scanned her face for the truth. "You don't know, or you're afraid to tell me?" She massaged the palm of her hand with her thumb. "The bartender at the Limbo said she'd had a few before he'd cut her off and asked her to leave. None of that matters because Nightingale's lying. He had something to do with her fall. He may even have pushed her. At the very least, he knows more than he's telling." My eyebrows raised. The police weren't perfect, but they had solid procedures in death investigations. They would have explored that angle. "What are you basing that on?" "My gut." A mother's intuition, while undeniable, alone didn't prove foul play. Did the Max operator see Mr. Nightingale next to her at any point? He didn't even see her because the area wasn't well lit. Do you have his name? Chris Foley. I jotted the information down. What do the train's cameras show? There weren't any. And no passenger statements because the train was done for the night. But Brooke shouldn't have even been in the vicinity of that train. Where is the limbo located? 10 blocks from where she was hit. A half-mile, give or take. Could she have been heading to catch the Max to go home? Brooke detested mass transit. The people who ride during the day scared her. She wouldn't go there at night. Besides, she lived south of town. The train wouldn't have taken her there. She sighed. I'm telling you, she wouldn't be that far from the bar unless someone... She closed her eyes. Georgette talked in circles, attempting to make sense of it all, but I had first-hand knowledge of drunk people doing things out of character. Given what she described, I could understand why the police had closed the matter. Even so, her devastation gripped my heart, and something had brought her out on this rainy Friday. What are you holding back, Miss Hanson? Why do you feel so strongly Mr. Nightingale was involved that you'd come to my dad for help? She stared at her hands as if they held the answers. Brooke had changed in the last year, become more distant, not visiting, missing our weekly calls. The corner of her mouth turned upward in a sad smile. We used to go for pie once a month. She loved apple pie, cherry pie. Her smile melted. One day she was too busy and couldn't get away. When she did, she didn't look well, stressed. Did she say what was bothering her? No, she shut me out, which she'd never done before. Now to have been killed by a train downtown when that Nightingale fellow was close enough to stop it from happening. He's involved. I can feel it. She straightened. Until I know what happened that night, I won't rest. Georgette reached into her purse and produced an envelope grasped in her right hand. Here's $3,000 for you to find the truth. Please say you'll help me. Despite steady work from a few law firms around town and an adequate divorce settlement, being a single mum often meant more month than money. Georgette was offering twice what I made in a good month of process serving, and that would go a long way in taking care of my little girl. Not needing to ever rely on my ex would have been incentive alone, but there was more to it than that. I'd recognised Georgette's name the moment she'd said it. At the reading of my dad's will, his lawyer had handed me a handwritten letter. It was a request from my dad that if a Georgette Hanson ever came to his door asking for help, I should assist and not ask questions why. That was the first part of the first chapter of Derailed. There we go. By Keliikoa. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. So this lady comes looking for help and her dad knows her and has said you must help her if she shows up, but she has no idea why. Why? I need to know why. Such a good hook. Nancy just said, oh, great hook. Love that this is a series. Yes, it is. It's the first book in the series and publishes on May 12th. So this is Mary's debut. And it just comes out in a couple of weeks, which is hugely exciting. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. Let me tell you a little bit about tomorrow's book. So tomorrow we have a different story. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, if I twist it a bit. It is Beyond the Ghetto Gates by Michelle Cameron. This is tomorrow's book, so we're delving into some historical fiction there, which is exciting. So that's going to be tomorrow on First Chapter Fun at 11:30 Eastern Time. As always, right here on Instagram Live and on Facebook Live. So I hope you enjoyed that chapter. I hope you have a lovely Saturday, whatever it is that you get up to. I hope you have a chance to get out, maybe, you know, social distancing permitting and all that. And I hope that I will see you again in the morning. So until then, as always, please stay safe, stay kind, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.